Welcome. Thanks for tuning in and participating in this week's Face the Word Ministry Spiritual Cliff Note. This week will be a very high-level banquet, but I will provide contextual spiritual references to facilitate your fact-checking and spiritual growth harvesting. This week's text is found in the book of Acts, 13th chapter, the 13th verse. Now Paul and his companions put out to sea from Paphos and came to Perga in Pamphylia. But John, speaking of John Mark, left them and returned to Jerusalem. Now the contextual background reference for this is found in Acts 12 through Acts 15, which if you check it out, I'm sure you will find very interesting and edifying. This week's title, Partner Resurrection. Last week's topic focused on good partnerships. But what should happen when a partner bails on you? Now, one of the benefits of partnership in the church is the beneficial, mutually supportive teamwork one can experience as the church pulls together to achieve its purpose. But what happens when things don't go like it did in the book of in the 3rd chapter of the book of Nehemiah, where everyone played their part and the goal was achieved? What happens when someone commits to unfaltering support as a church co-worker but doesn't fulfill their commitment? Fortunately, the Word has a word concerning partnership, commitment, abandonment situations that indicate the need for partnership resurrection opportunities. This is not the only biblical example of partnership resurrection, but examining the relationship experience involving Paul and John Mark provides an example of a trust-earning process, partnership resurrection. Partnerships test us, but in the event we were not the good partner, it does not have to be a life branding failure. Partnership faithfulness can be retested and resurrected. Now, the contextual background for our focus text, and this is really a high-level view, but Paul and Barnabas and John Mark, as the central characters, were on their first missionary journey. Paul and Barnabas were the experienced focal partners, and John Mark was the younger, stronger partner. Well, the journey involved more hardship challenges than John Mark anticipated. And when Paul and Barnabas had to deal with illness and/or energy, they really needed the youthful, helpful energy of John Mark. For at that point, John Mark's help would be significant. But John Mark turned back, abandoned the mission, and abandoned his mission partnership responsibilities. Now, in the interlude, there's some things that went on, and one of the things that I'm sure had to have happened in order for there to be a partnership resurrection is that John Mark himself had to participate in that resurrection, by admitting failure, repenting of the failure, and making a commitment, even though in regret of the failure, making a commitment to carry on and do better the next time they get an opportunity. Which it brings in Barnabas. I classify Barnabas as a retester. For as I get ready to read Acts 15:37 through 38, let's keep in mind that Barnabas made a commitment to go on another missionary journey with John Mark. After Paul had wiped his hands of John Mark, didn't want anything to do with him, couldn't trust him anymore. But Barnabas was willing to reach out a helping hand, bring John Mark on board, and give him the opportunity to succeed in the next missionary journey. Acts 15, verses 37 through 38. Barnabas wanted to take John, called Mark, along with them also. But Paul kept insisting that they should not take him along, who had deserted them in Pamphylia and had not gone with them to the work. And there occurred such a sharp disagreement that they separated from one another. And Barnabas took Mark with him and set away to Cyprus. But Paul chose Silas and left, being committed by the brethren to the grace of the Lord. Like Barnabas, a component of our church family edification duties may involve functions like the encouraging and supportive Barnabas-type partnership testing and partnership resurrection effort concerning John Mark. Of course, this raises an ongoing self-examination question for us. Can we be, will we be a congregational Barnabas? Barnabas utilized and invested encouragement. He didn't just use words of support, but his support was active support and an active encouragement. For Barnabas was also taking a risk because his reputation was on the line should John Mark fail again. But Barnabas' words were supported by action that showed his commitment to be a part of the solution. For us, that can be good news because falling does not have to be or equal ongoing failure. We can harvest lessons learned and utilize for growth provided by test failures, which I believe is what had happened and what was happening as John Mark began to take stock of himself, acknowledge his falling, repent of it, overcome his regret, and commit himself to pressing on and being better and doing better the next time. At times, all of us may need a retest opportunity. May be necessary to commit to retest opportunity utilization when someone is willing to give us another opportunity to be better and do better for and in and by the power of the Lord on the next pursuit of mission accomplishment in the church. This retest opportunity Utilization, I believe, is a necessary component of our pressing on, our steadfastness, and faithfulness. And there is good news regarding this retest opportunity utilization by John Mark, and it's evidenced by Paul's testimony. Remember Paul, the one that said, there's no way I want to be involved with John Mark anymore, can't trust him, he failed me, he let us down, no, can't do it. But here in 2 Timothy, 4th chapter, 11th verse, make note of Paul's testimony regarding John Mark, the one who he had written off in the past. 2 Timothy, 4th chapter, 11th verse. This is Paul speaking. Only Luke is with me. Pick up Mark, talking about John Mark, and bring him with you, for he is useful to me for service. Now that's a 180-degree flip from where he was. But evidently, John Mark had learned from the error of his ways, had gotten better, done better, and had grown to be a true service asset to Paul, who for a while didn't trust him, but that trust had been earned by John Mark's commitment to do better and be better for and in and by the power of the Lord. And then let's also keep our eyes on Paul and what he did. Paul's resurrection acknowledgement was activated in a comprehensive way. The request that Paul made, send John Mark to me. He's been a great help. Paul didn't just think it, but instead he published the news of John Mark's partnership resurrection. And as is scripturally truth, the blessing is in the giving. John Mark was publicly edified, and Paul was blessed by his positive testimony regarding John Mark. Regarding partnership tests, hold on. Be strong. It's only a test. Outlast it. Defeat it. Turn the tables on it and make it work for your good based on what you learn during the test. After all, we've been scripturally informed that all will be made to work for our good. The remaining issue is, can you be, will you be a congregational Barnabas?